Hey guys, and welcome to the FitPro Social with me, David Kyle.
And me, Ash Burley. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are in the world and listening to the FitPro Social podcast. So, welcome back. It's been a few weeks since we've actually been on. We've had quite a lot going on in those past few weeks, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later on. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about today's topic and then say hello to Dave and have a quick catch up with him. So, today we're going to be talking around whether you actually need a mentor or a coach, what the differences are between mentors and coaches, and also when you really should be looking to get help in those areas. But before we dig into it, Dave, how are we doing?
Sweating.
It is very warm today. Very, very warm today.
You know, when you train and then you just can't get cold, or you just can't cool down. So you get out the shower nice and clean, and then by the time you're toweling off, you're back sweating again, and it's just a lose-lose situation, basically.
Yeah, you're never going to win. Never going to win. It's just like here at the office. I'm in my office at the moment. It's not a big office. Like, I'm not as fancy as Dave with his big posh offices. But it's such a little small office room in here. I've got a little aircon unit on trying to cool me down. It's very hot here. At least hot for the UK anyway. We're just not built for it, are we? But anyway, cool. So I think we'll jump straight into today's topic already, which is, as I mentioned, whether you need a coach or a mentor. But I think in order to really understand whether you need to have a coach or a mentor, or at what point you should do that, we need to understand the differences between coaches and mentors, and maybe some of the other things that you could look at in the industry. So I don't know, should we start on that? Like, Dave, in your opinion, what would you class a mentor as?
I think for me, because we kind of had a little disagreement before we even started, I thought a mentor for me was more like somebody that's asking you searching questions, whereas I imagine a coach is like a football coach, someone that's on the grass, helping you get better at doing something. So they're coaching you through that process. But at the same time, as we know, some of the best coaches in football haven't always achieved the top. So that's my impression of a coach. A mentor, I'm guessing it's someone that has to have been there, but they're not giving you their path. They're helping you develop your own path, but sharing like positives and negatives and insights into how they experienced it.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, actually. I think that the basic difference to me is like a coach, exactly what you said. A coach will help you try and get the best out of you, and then hopefully, if they're any good, will give you the skills to do that, but then also help you, hold you accountable, and help get the best out of you. That's generally what they'll do, which is why I think there's so many coaches out there that don't necessarily achieve the best as what their clients do, but they can help their clients or their sports or their athletes or whatever get to the level they want to go and get to. So I think that's an important distinction to have between the two. And like I say, a mentor, just like you said there, is normally someone that has achieved what you want to achieve. Like, to me, mentoring is kind of a definition is it's me passing on my experience to you and then asking the right kind of questions to get the best out of you. So there are some slight differences, but normally a mentor will be someone that's actually achieved the things you want to achieve, where a coach's job is to try and get the best out of you. And I think there's kind of like levels that you go into. And I think we see these levels in every aspect of life. Like, you see it in education, you see it in school, you see it across business. If you kind of break down the four kind of areas where you normally get help. So let's say you start a business out, or you want to get good at a sport or anything like that. You'll generally start off learning something. So you'll do some self-learning. So these days you might go on YouTube, but you might buy a course or an online course with a little bit of support around that. So you start learning some of the basic skills. Then what tends to happen is once you've learned those things, you think, I don't really have time to do this. And especially in the business world, you might have some done for you stuff done. So that might be like, in the business world, have a website built for you. So yes, you could do a course, you could learn how to build a website, but you realize somebody else has got more experience and could probably do it better than you and quicker than you. So you pay someone to do it. Ads management is a perfect example of that. You guys do done for you ads. Why would you try and learn so much when you've got an expert that can do it for you and do it better? And then you kind of go up again. So, well, after that, you've got all this done for you stuff going on. You then want to get better at the other areas in your business or life or the sport or whatever it is. Then you might go and find a coach. So they'll help you hone in those skills that you've already got. They'll help hold you accountable to make sure that you actually do the things you need to do. So kind of like what you do, Dave, I guess you can do your ads, but you also do a lot of other things on the outside of that, which is you give them resources and training on other areas of their business. That's kind of like a course, but you also help coach them as well. You say, well, actually, this is where you can honing on these skills and help them become better at those skills and hold them accountable to go and do it. And then the next level, I think, is you've got mentors. So mentors are people that you might have a coach, but you also might have a mentor. That happens in sport all the time. People that have 2 or 3 different coaches that specialize in certain skills that they'll get on better at. And they have a mentor that's someone that's probably been through that process before and then passing on their experience. Really, really popular in sport, really, really popular in business as well, because they've gone through a lot of the experiences that maybe a coach hasn't. Like I can coach somebody doing certain things in, say, climbing, for example, or any kind of sport. Yet I've never been at that top level where I can say, well, actually, this is what it's like in competition. This is what they're going through. But somebody else who's a mentor may have. And I think to me, that's kind of the differences. They're the kind of 4 areas you generally have, like courses done for you, coaches, and then mentors. And I do think most people kind of go through that process in every aspect of their life when they're trying to learn something or progress or develop themselves. And I think it's sometimes, I think as well, these days especially, we kind of jump ahead of certain stuff. I do think we do that. I think a lot of the time, some people do jump straight into maybe mentorship, for example, without building up some of these other skills first. No issue with that at all. I've no issue with that at all. I think that's completely fine to do. But there's also an element of luck there, because I think if you don't have some of these fundamental skills in place or knowledge in place beforehand, it's very difficult to find the right mentor for you. So unless you know the right mentor, then that can sometimes lead you on the wrong path. And I think that's why sometimes you hear people say, oh, this mentorship's crap, it's terrible. It's probably not crap or terrible. It's probably just wasn't the right one for you, or maybe you joined that particular one too early. And I think sometimes it's important to have some of these foundations in place so you can find the right kind of mentor. I don't know. That's just my thoughts process. I don't know what you think. I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So obviously a lot of people watching this call will have seen mentors or coaching programs out there. If a mentor is offering you a program, then they're technically not a mentor, because a mentor is supposed to be one-on-one. It's not supposed to be, here's a load of trainings, go and watch those and report back to me with how you're getting on. That would be more coaching, even though it's wrapped around the umbrella of a mentor.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that. I mean, you could even argue in some mentorship programs that I've seen, it's probably closer to having course with a level of support. Like if you're just giving a course and resources and then saying, ask any questions you want, to me, that's not even coaching. To me, that's actually, you can be a coach working in there and you can offer them support, answer questions, but you're still not giving them the accountability, still not helping them develop their individual skills from what they've learned. So you could even argue that some of these mentorship programs that you see, especially some of the bigger group mentorship programs, are probably closer to the more course and support dynamic than what they are to even coaching itself. Could argue that possibly.
But again, it just comes down to how business works. So if you're operating a small group 4-to-1 process and you realize, you know what, I can squeeze 2 more people in here because it's going to make me more money, then you're technically going away from a small group personal training model to a small-ish group personal training model where there's less personal training, more group variety to it. But yeah, I think for me personally, I think a lot of the stuff I've always needed is more accountability and a prod of where I shouldn't be going and a prod of where I should be going. So, for example, I don't need to build myself a website. And when you start diving deep into it, and you start building your website, you're spending 30 hours like building it over a course of a month or 2 months. Like that should have been prod saying, no, you don't need a 20-page website. A single-page website is all that you need. If you want to get a full one, go and buy it from somebody and they will do it, and that will save you a load of time. Again, like if you're struggling with client retention, that's where you need prods or like prods. Like when are they leaving? Is it in week 1, week 2, week 5, week 10, week 15? How quickly do they drop off from doing 3 sessions a week, 2 sessions a week to 1 session a week? How much are you checking in with them? And then you can start looking into it. So it's difficult because running a business, I think it's less about the coaching really, because it's not a case of do this and do that, because a lot of it has to be analyzed where if you take football, if you want to get better at volleying, the coach is going to get you to practice volleying with the laces, the side foot, the how hard you hit it, and you just keep practicing it over and over and over again. But you can't practice like looking after people, because after all, the fitness business is simply just a relationship business. Like that's the type of business that we're in. Yeah, you might think it's a weight loss type of thing. It's not. It's a relationship business. If the relationship dies, the client leaves. It's really that simple. Of why clients stay with you and don't stay with you. So if you have got a retention problem, then you actually have a relationship problem, because the relationship's not strong enough, and that's why they're leaving. Yeah, it's a strange and difficult topic to really talk about, because I think business owners are going to be more accountable until they get to a certain level. And when you start getting to a certain level, then that's where the mentorship really comes into it.
Yeah, 100%. I think the way you've described that, there's a perfect example of how that mentorship would be. Like, it's having someone just to prod you in the right direction, to run questions back. It needs to be more one-to-one in style. And yeah, I think the further you develop as a business, the more important having a mentor there to help guide you becomes. But that also brings us nice onto the idea of like moving mentors. You're never going to find, personally, again, for me, you're never going to find one mentor that's going to take you for everything, every part of it, because again, they're sharing their experience. There's going to be points where they can take you to a certain level and you're like, well, actually, like my good Dave, I don't know. I can give you advice wherever I can do. I can try and ask you these questions, but you're at a stage now where I've never taken a business to this level.
Yeah.
So I can maybe give you some advice. I can maybe coach you in certain areas on that I'm strong at. But to tell you what this is going to be like, what questions you need to be asking yourself, I don't know. I've never been to that level before. And that's where you might shift to another mentor. And I think then that's an important thing to remember when you're going through any kind of process looking for a mentor. You need to find the right kind of one for you. And I do think that's such an important thing. And you are going to, I think in reality, sign up with mentors at different stages in the business. Some you're going to think are crap, but it's just, it wasn't right for you at the time. But you will probably go through and find something useful from it. And this happened a lot. I think it might have even happened to you, actually, possibly. You can correct me if not. But I know a lot of people who will go into mentorship programs when they're quite early on in their business to get help and support. Yet what generally happens is they have the mentor level, and then they have other stuff under there too. Like they'll have a little bit of coaching, maybe group coaching. They'll also have courses and resources and modules and things like that. So what you'll generally find is most mentoring programs have all that other stuff in there too. Not necessarily the done for you stuff, but they'll probably have course-based stuff. They'll have some kind of coaching in there too to improve on your skills, and then they'll mentor you with advice and prodding it. And a lot of new businesses go into that. And what you'll find is a lot of new businesses won't necessarily do too much with the mentoring side because they don't necessarily need prodding at the moment. What they need is to understand the skills they need in order to be successful. And you'll find they'll go, oh, that mentorship was crap, or I paid a lot of money for this mentorship and I only really got X, Y, and Z out of it. But if you take time to look, you'll find a certain skill that they can grab hold of and become really, really good at. And I've noticed that a lot with people that we work with when they come to us. We actually look back at other things they've gone through and realize they've actually have got some good things out of it. So the reason I said it might be similar to what you went through, I know you joined a mentorship some of the early days of your business, and that's where you learn ads. So that's like a skill that you've learned out of the mentorship. Did you maybe get lots out of the mentorship from a mentoring perspective? I don't know. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But you definitely learned the skill of ads out of that. So you could argue that was too early to go into mentorship, but you also found the skills that you needed to do what you're doing now today.
But it was sold as mentorship, but it wasn't mentorship.
Yeah.
And it's where we all kind of get stung, really, where, yeah, you're going to work with somebody one-on-one, great, and then you never actually get to speak to that person because it's a group coaching program. So I think if you are going to start looking for coaches and mentors and people to help take your business to the next level, I think the first thing you need to do is kind of get the fundamentals of your business correct first. Like if you're not completing a P&L sheet every month, then that's the first thing a mentor, even a coaching program, should get you to look at is the finances and understanding your numbers. Like any coaching program should do that first. When you get to a mentorship program or mentorship level, they shouldn't be talking about that. They should be going into it in depth because you've already filled it in and they're finding issues with your finances, with your numbers. But if you go into a mentorship and you haven't even started tracking your numbers, you don't know the numbers well enough in your business, then you're kind of wasting your time and the mentor's time, because you're not getting the best value out of this person you're going to is supposed to take you to that next level, but they can't take you to that next level because you're so far down where you actually are currently. That jump is too huge. So yeah, a lot of I don't think many people need mentors until there has to be a threshold, or there has to be. Yeah, I think there has to be a threshold. If it's a financial threshold, I think it will be more than anything.
Yeah.
When you get beyond a certain financial threshold, that's when you actually really need a mentor.
Yeah, because if you don't, in order to hit those financial thresholds, whatever they will be, they're going to be different from business to business. But I think to hit that threshold, it means you're going to have some of the basic fundamentals in place. You'll probably find that there's certain things in your business that are paying. Like you might find you're working your arse off all the time, but you've still got an idea and a lid on your numbers. And if you sit and listen to this and think I don't know what a P&L is, then you're miles away from even even wanting to get a mentor. Really, what you need is the basic skills. So things like courses can be useful for that. Small group coaching programs can be useful for that if you want a bit of accountability. But again, from a price points perspective, it also means it's better financially, because courses and support programs, even some coaching programs, don't need to be charging a silly amount of, I won't say silly amount of money. I'm not saying mentorship is a silly amount of money. I think if you get the right mentor, they're worth every single penny, because they can just say one thing to you that can transform your business. Literally one thing to you, and it can make all the difference. And that's the key thing about mentorship. It's not about what they do all the time. It's about just the right questions that they ask you to get you thinking certain ways. You're not going to be able to deal with that if you're still trying to get a lid on where your money is. Like you're worried about cash flow coming in and out all the time. You've got no control over that. Like you need to have those things in place. And that's where I think having learning those skills first through things like courses, through support programs, through even coaching programs, and even using things like DFY stuff. And again, the coaching and the coursing programs will help you do that. It should be the point, like Dave said there, like he's not going to go and build a website. So why spend time doing a website? I see so many people go and do that, spend hours and hours building websites or building content out or doing whatever, or trying to run ads themselves. Like it's the return on investment to get someone to go and do it compared to the time that you'll save is huge.
Yeah.
And that's where I think like decent courses will give you some of the skills to do it. But even like our course, it gives you some of the skills. But the first thing I say on it, get someone else to go and do it. So as soon as we talk about ads in there, go and see Dave to go and do it. If we want to talk about websites, direct them somewhere else. If we're going to talk about coaching software, direct them somewhere else. Like there's no need to be doing all these different things. But you don't need to be paying, 5, 6, 7,000 quid to a mentor for them to tell you like, actually you need to be monitoring your cash flow, or you need to have a P&L every month, or you need to be, no, you shouldn't be building that website out.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be telling you to go and build a sales page. That's not what a mentor's job is to do. It's just
so, to give you an example, everybody that joins the FitPro incubator, they have to submit their monthly business dashboard to me by the 5th. I show them how to fill it in, I show them how to work it out, but they have to submit it by the 5th. This is me, them reviewing their finances, their numbers, their retention rates, their sales rates, their lead gen rates. I need to know this stuff because then I can help them make better decisions moving forwards. But if you're spending, like you're saying there, if you're spending 30 hours over the next 2 months building a website and you're like, you know what, I just can't keep hold of clients, they're just leaving too fast, then you don't need the website. You need a retention system. You need the retention principles in place. And I think that's where, again, a lot of us trip ourselves up. We're all about what's flash, what's new, what's exciting, what's cool out there. So it's new websites, new leads, new sales, new equipment, and all that. When the biggest issue is client retention. It's so much cheaper to keep clients than have to find new clients. And if you're not doing, I don't know, as a minimum 80% retention every month, that's pretty crap. Yeah. Then you're in big trouble. If you're converting less than 50% of your front end sales to monthly, again, you've got major issues going on in your fitness business. You don't need a website. You don't need to spend more on ads. You don't need to go and buy the latest set of kettlebells or slam balls or something. You need to work on retention. So if you are, again, joining a coaching program or a coaching program can be different because a coaching program has many elements.
Skill, can't it?
Exactly.
It could be like, I'm a coach in this particular thing to help you get better at that particular skill, where mentoring is more of a bigger picture, asking right questions. type thing.
But again, coaching can be it can be fine-tuned onto a specific thing. Like there is such thing as retention coaches out there. There is such thing as sales coaches out there. They're going to focus on sales. They're going to focus on retention, all that type of stuff. But when you go
Actually, just quickly on that, if you look at your incubator, you have exactly the same thing. You run a mentorship program, but you also have a sales coach in there. At the end of the day, like you can bring someone in as a sales coach to talk about sales every single week.
Yeah.
So they're not really a mentor. What they're doing is honing on a specific skill and coaching them in that specific skill. But you will still look at the overall patch and where they're at. You might say to them, actually, you need to go and speak to this particular person or this particular person as a coach within a mentorship program. I think that happens in quite a few mentorship programs too. Anyway, I'm interrupting.
And that's where, like you say, the mentorship comes inside, because you'll speak to your mentor and he'll suggest something and that will get your brain working over time. That's such an interesting concept. I'd never thought about doing it that way before. You start diving into it more, you discuss it a lot more, you implement it, and then your business explodes. And they're not talking about this and that and this and that and this and that. They're picking one thing that needs to be fixed, one thing, giving you some ideas and some insights into different ways you can do it. You do the research, you implement it, and wow, your business suddenly grows. That's the difference between a mentor and a coach. A coach is specific. Like you've got a goalkeeping coach, a set piece coach, a striker coach. Like same for you. You might have a coach for the warm up, a coach for the cool down, a coach for the compound lifts, a coach for your high rocks. You've got different coaches who specialize in different things, where the mentor looks at the overall and picks out the one thing that needs fixing, and that's what you'll fix.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and that's the important thing to remember when you're looking for this kind of stuff. I do think it's a bit skew-iff in our industry. I think there's a lot of flashy stuff everywhere, flashy advertising, flashy marketing, flashy promises, which, again, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm not saying they over-promise and deliver anything. I just think it's understanding whether that's the right step for you to go into. I think, and that only really comes down to you. People say sometimes either they get missold into programs or mentorship programs or coaching programs or whatever it is, or they feel they haven't got much from it. The harsh reality of this is that you're a business owner, and it's your job to make decisions of what's right for you and your business at whatever stage it is. And I think the sooner you start accepting like full accountability for yourself and decisions you make, the easier this process becomes. Because you shouldn't be able to be sold to. Like, I'm really quite strict on it. When people come to me, if they try and sell to me like I'm selling to a consumer, like David would probably be saying, but if you're selling to consumer, it's very different to how you'd sell to a business person.
Down. I know, yeah. and I know what you're doing. I know you're trying to tell me. I just know what you're doing. Just stop. I'm not going to buy. I'm not interested. Go away.
Exactly. And I think from a business to business perspective, because of that, you see all that. And I think you should go into these calls as a business owner. Like if I try and get sold, if I'm wanting business service, say looking for a mentorship coaching program, and they try to sell to me as a consumer, I actually get quite annoyed. Because I'm like, well, why are you treating me like a consumer? Like, I'm not going to buy for emotion. You're trying to get into the emotion about why I want to buy. I'm not going to buy for emotion. Like, I'm a business owner. I buy off logic and numbers and data. Give me the data and I'll make a decision that's going to give the right investment for my business. The moment someone starts to try and sell to me emotionally as a business mentor or coach, I'm like, you're not the right coach for me. And I think sometimes we do get kind of sold into this thing in that style, like the emotional side of what we can possibly achieve from it. And that's fine. That will get you through the door and get their attention, get your attention. But really, when they're signing up, kind of like, I guess you talked about there, maybe your calls, I bet on your sales calls, you ask a lot of data questions to see whether you can help them. And I think that's the important thing I want to be looking for. You need to be treated like a business owner, and you need to start taking accountability like a business owner and making decisions based on whether this is going to be the right investment for you and a return for the investment. But if it doesn't work out, being able to swallow that, because that happens in business. You make so many decisions in business. Some of them work out, some of them don't. Most of the time, most of them don't work out. The key thing is, though, that the things that do work out make the best return on investments for you. And you just have to take accountability for that.
So I've been going, when did I start? About 2015 did I start? So 10 years I've roughly been in this industry now. And I've done, 5 or 6 different mentorships and programs over that time. Some very expensive ones, 10 grand, 15 grand. I think I even paid 20 grand once. Obviously, you kind of pay in installments because you're not willing to pay. Do I have regrets for doing all of them and any of them? Yeah, I am a bit bitter that I paid this person that amount of money. But then when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I paid that guy £15,000 to make me a better agency manager. But I only spent 3 hours going through that whole course where it was a call I think it was 2 calls a week. There were several different modules. And then I've got to think to myself, well, his program probably wasn't crap. What was crap was me, the person who paid for the course and did fuck all with it. And know you know yourself, your best clients that get the best results are the people that show up. They ask the questions, they do what you say, they listen to what you say, and they're always wanting to move on and grow and get better and get stronger and lose weight or whatever that motivation is. And your worst clients, they're the ones that pay. They don't turn up for that first session because there's an excuse. And then they don't show up in week 2. And then by week 3, they've long gone. And you're just like, fuck. I've gained 500 quid, but what a waste of time that was. You have to take responsibility for the actions that you take. If you want to give somebody 10 grand, 15 grand, we know some of these people that are charging like 40, 50 grand for a crappy course. If you don't do the course, if you don't turn up for the coaching calls, that's on you. That really is on you. Because like you said as well, you can take something from every course. So the first ever course I did, mentorship, I paid £5,000 on the credit card. All I needed was module 2. Module 2 taught me Facebook ads. Everything changed. Am I annoyed that I paid 5 grand for a course where I watched a video for an hour that I probably watched on YouTube? No, because that's changed my life. It's changed everything about it. So yeah, you have to take accountability. If you're willing to drop huge amounts of cash and then you're not willing to do the work, there's only one person that can be blamed.
Yeah, it's one thing about any business. You can't buy your way out of the work, no matter what level you're at. Even if you've got millions, like you can work your way up to this kind of level where you're not doing as much, I suppose. And really, I think when you're at that kind of level in your business, really what you're making that money for is because you're making few decisions, but very big decisions that have a big impact. But especially when you're starting out, there's no way of buying yourself out of the work. Yeah, you can get certain things done for you. You can throw money at ads. You can throw money at towards the I've done for you stuff done. You can throw money at a website build. You can throw money at whatever to save you time in those areas and get expertise in to come and do it. But you still have to do the work. You still have to take accountability for that. You still have to accept the fact that sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. Like you can't guarantee building a website is going to find you some leads. You can't guarantee that running ads is going to have it's going to work straight away for you or get right straight away. It can take time. Same for organic marketing, same for even coaching. For we do done for you stuff for building out programs for people. We can build the best online coaching program in the world for you. It doesn't matter. It's not going to make that much of a difference unless you're doing all the other work to keep people in. Like Dave said at the very start of this, to build relationships with people. You have to do the work and you have to take accountability for it. And I think whenever you're looking at any kind of coaching course, mentorship program, done for you service, whatever it is, you have to take that level of accountability and say, okay, if I'm going to invest in this, I'm going to put the work in where I need to make sure I get the most out of this.
You just have to do the work. Everyone knows who Mr. Beast is, like the guy on YouTube. Millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of views. He lives on his set. He works 15-hour days. He's quite open about it. Elon Musk needs to get his rockets into space. He's not just chilling. He is doing the work.
He slept in his office, didn't he, once? In the actual offices. I can remember reading a story about that. He didn't go home. We just kept sleeping there.
So if you're listening to crap on the internet about, you've only got to work 4 hours a week, there's way, way, way more that goes into that. You just can't just sit there on your laptop 4 hours a week and just expect to be doing 10K, 15K, 30K months. It just doesn't work like that. There's fundamentals that you need to build. There's processes, there's systems, there's staff, there's automations, there's all this stuff that has to go into it. And then maybe you'll get to a point of, I'm doing 20K a month. I've got the system. Now I can work 4 hours a week. It's nice and consistent. But if you want to move again to that next level, then the hard work goes back in again. And you're growing to the point that you want to grow to. When you get to a point where you want to plateau, then you can maybe take your foot off the gas. But if you want to keep going again, then you have to be all back in.
Yeah, exactly. You have to earn those levels at the end of the day. You have to earn those levels. And there's no which way about it. You have to put the work in. And even if you're even on that, you say that, yeah, theoretically, you could probably do 4 hours a day at some point. If you get the systems and processes in place, you're willing to invest in the right areas, but you're still paying attention. You can't take your foot off the gas. Like, you have to pay attention to numbers, pay attention to your market. Like, it never really, as much as I love to say it stops, it never really stops. There's always something for you to do, something for you to learn, something for you to progress with. Something's always changing, always. It's just the way the world is, unfortunately. So you've always got to pay attention.
Hope that's helpful. Let us know your thoughts on coaching and mentorship. And do you need a coach, and do you need a mentorship, or do you not need any? You just need to work on the principle of the foundations and the principles of running a fitness business. Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the FitPro Social. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.